A Non-Mom Happy Hour is the podcast that celebrates real-ass human women, whether they use their baby box or not. Hosted by Kelly Nerdzilla Mendenhall and Debbie Jo Nelson, a Non-Mom Happy Hour is a safe space to talk about mental health, trauma, disordered eating, surviving, and self-care. We talk about it all while laughing as much as possible, because if you don't laugh, you'll cry. Each week is a new episode, and every other week we interview badass women from around the U.S. and the world. If you like to laugh, feel like you've never quite fit into most lady groups or podcasts because you're not a mom, or are a mom who needs a break from momming for an hour, you should come hang out with us. A Non-Mom Happy Hour, bringing healing through laughter and community. Streaming basically everywhere you could possibly want to find us. Remember, always be a real-ass human. To check out the podcast, visit anonmomhappyhour.com.
I'm a very sentimental person.
This has been a real deep podcast.
I didn't mean it to be so. The death of Stalin.
That was not funny.
Oh!
It's the traditional hero arc. You want to see them struggle.
There's no heroes here.
No.
Come on.
No.
And I still think to this day that they probably are still, thrusting around in the dark, so to speak.
I think, no, don't.
How are we all?
Oh, you're asking me.
Yes.
I'm good.
You're
I
all?
wasn't sure. You said guys, and I went, I'm the only one here.
Oh, sorry about it, everyone. Blasted everybody's eardrums out. I apologise. Yes. Yes. I haven't even really started drinking today, have I? It's day.
Is that number one?
Well, it's the day. Yes,
Oh,
it's
that's
in the
right,
day.
yeah.
Yes. No.
Paul has been... I'm really offended and upset. Paul's been podcasting with someone else.
Well, that's true, yes. I have been unfaithful.
Paul's been sitting here playing podcasts with my daughter.
Yes.
And she's been having a ball.
Yes. Now, it was all about, what was it, cat poo and everything like that?
Yes.
She leads it off down some weird, wonderful rabbit holes, that one.
I'm a great parent.
Yes. Chugga.
Oh, we hope you've all had a great week.
Yep.
And we've had a great week.
Well, I don't actually care if you've had a great week.
Sure, you do a little bit.
It's all about me.
I forgot about that, right.
No, I do care. I care.
That almost sounded sincere.
Almost. I've been working on my sincerity. What do you think?
It's getting there. So,
Yep.
should I just jump into it?
No.
Or is there anything else you wanted to say?
Absolutely there is.
What did you want to say?
It's time for... Ladies and gentlemen, presenting the podcasting pick of the week.
You know that's really corny, don't you?
It's exceptionally corny. I take great pride in how cheesy that actually is. I think that's magnificent. That's cheese on a very high level.
I thought you were going to say cheese on a corn cob. Yep.
Cheese on a corn cob. Yep, absolutely. Now, this week's podcast that we're going to have a quick discussion about, we were scratching our heads before, and I said, okay, but what have we both heard? Because, being massively organised as we are, we came to this today and we were just about to start, and we went, well, we don't have a pick
Well,
of
if
the
I
week.
recall, you said last week, I listened to thousands.
I do.
I have thousands going through my head.
Well, I could talk about all of them, but you
don't have to always pick me, though, as in pick something I've listened to, because I might hear you talk
but
about it. I might hear you talk about it and go, oh, wow, that sounds awesome.
Yeah, but it's
I'm gonna
better
listen
when
to it.
we've both listened to it, and it helps broaden your education.
I'm glad you're looking out for me.
Always, Pip. Now, this week, we had a conversation about women in comedy, and we were casting about looking for some good female comics. And I said, well, why don't you have a listen to this girl? Because she is as funny as anybody I know, with a nice, dark sense of humour. And her name is Alice Frazier. She's an Australian comic. She is quite often in very widespread and very old podcast that used to run called The Bugle with Andy Zaltzman, and it used to have John Oliver
Oh, okay.
He was the other one before he became rich and famous.
I haven't listened to The Bugle, but I've listened to the Alice Fraser trilogy.
Yes, well, the Alice Fraser, she's got a couple of podcasts on her own, but she's also, that's where I first met. I listened to her, and then I started searching out some of the other stuff that she's done, and lo and behold, she's got a tea with Alice, which is not a funny podcast. It's more of a conversational style podcast about, well, all manner of things that, they just sit down, have a cup of tea and have a chat. And she picks very intelligent people. Sometimes it's very high-minded stuff. And then she also has produced through the ABC, that's the Australian Broadcasting Commission, a series of podcasts called Alice Fraser's Trilogy. And I think they're amongst some of the finest comedy that's coming out of Australia at the moment. I think they're excellent.
I think she's really funny and clever. It's really nice to listen to.
Yep.
So is that your podcast pick of the week?
It is. So
Alice Fraser Trilogy.
Go and have a look at it. It's a three-part podcast. It won't take up your whole life or anything like that. But look, it's very, very sad at places and very, very funny at places. It's got a
healthy mix. It
has a healthy mix and a broad arc of emotions. So it brings everything to it. Check it out. Anyway, our movie for this week.
So the first movie was put up by me.
Well, what was it?
Baby Driver.
Baby Driver. Well,
or did we just both agree on it?
No. I just said, well, I've never heard of it. I've vaguely heard of it, and
I just said I've wanted to watch it.
Yes.
So it's a 2017 film, so it's relatively new.
And neither of us knew anything about it other than the fact that you wanted to watch it.
Well, Edgar Wright's the director, and he directed Hot Fuzz.
Oh, so that's the connection, is it?
Yeah.
It certainly wasn't a Hot Fuzz style movie, though, was it?
No, but it's cleverly shot. So, yeah. I'm liking his style.
Okay, all right.
So I wanted to watch it for that reason.
Could you regale upon us the synopsis, please?
Baby is a young man who cares for his foster dad, loves music, and wants to set off in a car he can't afford without a plan with Deborah, the girl of his dreams. He's also the getaway driver for heist mastermind Doc. Things start to get messy when his clean world collides with his dirty one. Boom.
Certainly is the case. What do you think?
I thought it was awesome. I really enjoyed it. I liked the way it's shot.
Yep.
And I love the fact that he's trying so hard to be this good guy. I almost keep saying kid, good guy, but it all just keeps dragging him back.
That circular life of crime.
And it's funny because when you're watching it, you think, oh, that's the bad guy. And then a little bit more happens and you go, oh, no, it's him. And then another bit comes and you go, wait, wasn't he the bad guy? Why is... And I love the fact that it keeps you on your toes. You have to think and watch the relationships and actually really pay attention to the conversations because you sometimes don't realise that an earlier conversation has affected what's happening later on down the track.
What do you think of his character? Is he a good guy or a bad guy? He's trying to do good.
He's trying to be good, but he's also... I think more... as the film goes on, he goes, well, hang on, this is what I want, and to get what I want, I'd have to do some bad. But I think it's almost like he's going, well, it will be good if I do this, even though it's bad. So it's the whole, asking a child, is it okay for that person to steal a loaf of bread to feed their family? Because, depending on where you're looking at it, it's good or bad or whatever.
Yep.
So it's a bit like that.
Now, it's a fairly new film that's very recent. 2017, I believe it came out. So I'll try not to do too much in the way of spoilers to this week. Because it is so new. But, look, when it first started in the opening scene and he's sitting there and he's got his headphones on and he's bopping away and we're starting to hear the music, I'm just sitting there thinking, my God, I'm watching Transporters. No, well, that's exactly what I thought. But and then I smiled and I thought, well, I'm in safe hands then. Allow the film to proceed, And I sat back and I relaxed, and it wasn't transporters at all.
No.
Not in the slightest, For a start, he can act as opposed to Jason Statham. Jason has had, and I do like Jason, but he's had somewhat of a patchy career.
Well, I mean, he can act in certain fields. Where with Ansel Elgort, he's much more. You can read his face, and those parts where he's with his foster dad, and because when I first saw their conversation, I thought, oh no, and they haven't even got writing underneath the subtitles to tell me what they're saying.
Yep.
But after a minute, I went, oh well, I don't need it because they're so expression. It's so obvious what they're saying through their body language and how they're looking at one another that you don't need it, and they become like their own special little world of conversation. We're allowed to just sort of watch, and like when you're sitting on a chair in the street and watching people go past and seeing people across the road having a conversation and just going, I wonder what they're talking about through massive body language and things like that. I found that quite entertaining.
I really enjoyed the fact that he was developed, how it developed his relationship with his deaf foster father, and I thought that was an unnecessary but well appreciated side bit. You know what I mean? They didn't need to go into that, but they did.
It gave his character more depth.
Yes.
Isn't it funny how when you've got more depth in a character, how entertaining it is?
Context is everything, Pip.
I've always said so.
No, you have not. We've had this argument many a time.
No, I like when where the characters are at.
Do you feel your emotional continuity was well maintained this time through the film?
Yes.
And that's why you enjoyed the film?
Yes.
So
ask me why else. Ask me why else.
Why else, Pip?
The music was awesome.
Better than Sunshine?
Yes.
Oh, well, there you go, Scoop.
It was awesome music, and I'm like, oh, and I love how it's linked in so well, and the fact that the scenes are being actions occurring based on the music, and I love that. I know
you cheat a little bit. You go after soundtrack movies.
I didn't know about the soundtrack for this
well,
film.
Maybe it was
saw Edgar Wright and went, oh.
A lucky coincidence, perhaps. But yeah,
I love those.
Well, you do pull them out quite a lot. You know that, don't you? Like Boat That Rocks is a soundtrack movie. Yeah. That's what I call them. You know how they just run with popular tunes. Popular tunes. Listen to me. I'm like 80 years old now. No, you young whippersnappers. I'll tell you what's good today. So
I love films.
Right.
Where the music can really set off emotion for a scene and boost the emotion for a scene. It doesn't need it, but it makes it so much more rockin' and better.
And if it's done well, it has its own character.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love those.
Yep. Take note, people. Take note.
Sorry, that's my love.
That's what. Well, that's fine. That's what you like, and this is not a podcast about other people. But this is more of a podcast about what we like and how we look at movies ourselves and, what we take from it and all of that good stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, so...
Speaking of which, Paul,
yes?
did you like the film?
Well, as I said, I thought I was in safe hands and then it went spearing off. It was Now, this is going to sound a little... No, I don't know if I'll necessarily talk about it.
Come on, you've started.
It's a bit of a trigger film for me, this film.
How so?
Well, it was lovely to watch young love.
Oh.
And, yes, and so consequently I had my own regrets on all of that sort of stuff. So, yes. So that's all I'll say on that particular subject. But, yeah, I liked it, but at the same time, it's such a reckless. Like, she was so happy after knowing him for a day or so, just to, potentially destroy her own life and destroy,
But the thing was, she wasn't destroying because she was actually not. She had no direction. She wanted to be on the road in a car she couldn't afford with no plan.
Well, she just didn't want to be where she was.
And here he was going, you know what, I want the same thing. We both want the same thing.
He didn't want to be there either.
No, that's what I mean. So sometimes when someone feels the same way you do and wants the same things,
it wasn't a plan, though.
No,
They
that's
had
the line. That's the
yes.
line in the film.
Yeah, I know, but I'm so